Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Guess the WN8. I think the volume's too high, give me a moment. It wasn't too high, I'm just dumb. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an AMX3105. It's a paid replay. Say hi to Twitch chat, they're watching along. Hopefully they'll be able to issue some guesses as well. This is Guess the WN8. My viewers submit games, I have to guess their stats based on watching their gameplay. There's no engine sounds, we'll sort that out in a moment, but we've got an AMX 105 on Prokhorovka here, which is always a positive. And some stewarded advice being given out from our fine player here in chat. Fellow lights, play it safe until they fuck up. Don't throw your life away. And on Prokhorovka with 3 light tanks and 2 arty, that is very much pertinent advice. Because light tanks staying alive is valuable precedent to give other people. Literally, you can do a lot for your games in light tanks by staying alive. It's nice to spot, right? It's nice to get vision, it's nice to do a bit of bonus damage, but number 1 on the priority list, stay alive. I said this before, I'll say it again, you are infinitely more valuable alive and doing nothing than you are dead and unable to do anything. And that principle should dictate your light tank gameplay, at least while there is valid opposition. And this is true of other tank classes as well. You can look at what directly opposes you. Let's say you're a defensive TD. What directly opposes that style of gameplay on the enemy team, and do you need to remove it? If you are an aggressive heavy, is there only one aggressive heavy on the enemy team? Okay, good. If that dies, it clears me up to work, right? Same principle in light tanks, but even more important. How do you think this game changes if the enemy AMX, the enemy T100LT, the enemy Tessak all die? Suddenly, the gameplay is immense, the potential, the sporting potential is abhorrent. And that's what we're waiting for here. That's why this patience is merited. It's why this defensive push is apt at this point. Now, what information can we gather? The Leopard 1 on our team has just taken a hit. Is it possible that that's a blind fire? Yes, absolutely, in that position. But it could also mean we have aggressive view range from the enemy team, and that AMX taking basically no damage there. Let's actually look at this again, shall we? Because the AMX 105 is very good cannon rating. It's like 4% base better than the Sheridan, as an example. It's only a little bit worse than the T100LT. So, very good cannon. We want to see distance of this AMX when it comes up, because it can tell us if he has a CVS or not. So let's have a look at this distance. That's like 86. Yes, that is a CVS in play along with optics on the AMX there. Useful information for later. And that's why I have, when I play, I have the distance markers. I have a mod that shows me the distance of every tank so that I can make these calculations quicker without having to sort of manually aim at all of these tanks to determine distance. Now, defending hillways here, that is a ambitious bush. I like it, if we're gonna sit there. Because no one on the enemy team sits in cap. No one's gonna sit in cap at this point. So this is a very stewarded bush, because you might think, oh, you can't sit that close to the cap, people will proxy you if they're in that. No one's going to be in the cap. They'll be dead before they even get close to it. So this is a really nice bush to take. And we've got a lot of camping. T100LT is scouting one side, AMX is scouting the other side. The priority targets at this point for the defensive team, for the Leopard, the DBV, the Grill, the Death Star, the VZ, the Arty, the enemy light tanks. If anyone in this team sees a light tank get spotted, guns turn to it immediately. I don't care if you have a kill shot and a 260, a DBV, I don't give a heck. Right? If you've got a kill shot at a light tank right now, you take it. So I have to see if his team decide that that is a priority. Come on, Tessak off the board, please. Doesn't seem like our team have a shot, but certainly crippling vision being provided here, and not in an awful lot of danger, right? This is a very, very safe position to hold. Yes, I believe the Tessak can get out of that position. You won't spot him exiting at like F6, somewhere around there. Hello, Pyrrhic. But we got questions, where is the AMX right now? We know that Leopard 1 got spotted earlier. Good focus by the arting line there. The Leopard getting spotted high. The FV dying to the 261 is odd, potentially a blind fire, or he got spotted by the Tessak. Interesting. We're trying to determine where the enemy light tanks are at this point because it's the most important question that we can ask. Where is the enemy team's vision? How do we kill the enemy team's vision? And to be fair, this is a fantastic setup. I'm not sure how you break this as the enemy team. Outside of YOLOing a light tank, which is very, very risky, because if you don't get the enemy light tank killed, you're throwing away your potential to win. But you just have to play extremely slowly, I guess. And if you're a coordinated team, right, then you play it slowly, you slowly spotting check, and you calculate and you blind fire, right? Simple as that. Because what is the running course from the enemy team right now? You spotting check, right? You gather information and you communicate it to your team. Let's take this DBV, for example. I know as this DBV player, based on where I quested, that there is a light tank present. Right? No TDs spotting me from all the way back there. It just doesn't happen. It's out of spotting distance. I also know, based on my Tessak moving over the middle here, that there's no light tank present in this bush line, right here. Or likely this bush line, right? Or this one. So there's remarkably few places that that light tank can be. He's not going to be in here. The Tessak would have picked him up. So what I can do is I can spotting check, right? I can poke around here, reverse, do I get spotted? No. I poke a little further, do I get spotted? No. Poke a little further, pull back, oh, I got spotted. The front of my tank was exposed to what angle when I did that last poke? Let's see. What angle, what angle, what angle? Can't be in the open there, I would have seen him. Can't be in the open, can't be... Oh. Right? It's easy logic, and that's how you win endgames like this, is just doing spotting checks, finding out where that vision is from. We now know that there's presence in that bush, and we can call down arty fire on it. It's a simple thing. It doesn't happen a lot in random games, but it's important to be aware of how you ideally win game circumstances like this, because while for a random battle capacity, this is an extremely good bush. If this was a clan wars, if we were talking about organized, good players on the enemy team, this is a bad bush. I mean, not bad, it provides what it does, but it's easily countered because there's no other options. There's no alternative that you're in, right? It's very easy to pinpoint where this viewing is coming from, and there's no way out. There's no escape route. You can't fall back behind a hard cover or something like that. So it's worth considering, and I'm hoping that the enemy team don't have this epiphany of, oh, I need to spotting check and communicate that to my team. AMX dies. This Tessak is now the most important tank left on the enemy team, and he is spotted. So every single tank on our team should be trying to kill that Tessak right now. Our T100 LT Yellow's out of position. I'm not entirely sure why do we take that kill shot right now. Probably not, but I would have been tempted. I would have been a little tempted. We're still on 1,400 hit points, but passivity is a good play here. Super Villain, thank you for 55 months. Much appreciated. This Tessac thinks he is unspotted because he's permalit. He thinks he's not lit right now. So we're just going to wait until he pokes. GG. And that's the game one. Simple as that. We can now relocate. So now we've lost the LT's vision on the 1-2 line. All right. Is this DBV going to make a solo push over that flank? No. He's like the only tank that's been spotted over there. He's not going to go into cap. He's not really going to do anything. So he's not a threat. So we leave this position using the cover of these bushes to get about 380 meters on this DBV. And then we go straight down into this sort of area, poke up into this bush line, do a bit of investigation, see if we can get a funny spot. Once we're clear that there's no poke present on the lunch line currently, then we dive all the way down here, try and get up into this location, have a look, maybe get an angle on these bushes, get some funny shots into the DBV, and just get forward presence in a manner that can cover both flanks. Right? So let's see if that's done right now. Was that a blind fire from the DBV at a particular bush? I mean, it's ambition. Okay, we are relocating, and we're going for the kill secure on the DBV. Assault Rabbit, thank you for the sub. That's much appreciated. This I'm not sure about, and the reason I'm not sure about it is because we don't know exact positions of the enemy team. That could be a push out of nowhere, highly unlikely. It could be on the other side of the punch line, but it's also because of priority, right? We don't want to allow a random leopard to come screaming down the 1-2 line. Quite frankly, if a leopard on full health YOLO'd down this line right now, we'd lose. Right? That's got enough health and enough speed to get in there, spot targets, and the incoming fire takes us apart. That is a threat. This DBV is not a threat. All right, so I'm thinking in terms of priority, in terms of preventative measures. You've got to look at threat on the enemy team. We talked about the light tanks dying and how that takes a huge threat away. Now we don't suddenly stop considering threats after the opposing light tanks are dead. Now we think, okay, what's the alternate? What's the fallback? The leopard. Leopard has mobility, bit of cannon rating, really good view range. So that's what we want to play counter to primarily. We've only got one light tank left. We don't really want to be trading health for irrelevant tanks, because what is the recourse of that DBV? What does he do if he's left alive? He's fire support, sure, but he needs spots. He's not going to spot under his own power. So if we take away his spots, he does nothing. We don't need to kill him to make him useless to the outcome of this game. In my humble opinion. Stay there. Don't crest. Good. We don't know what's on the hill currently. So this is good position to hold. Ooh, okay. Good information. Now we can do a poke. We can do a poke just from a cross spot. Just a little high. Nice. I would have ducked left. Okay, Jagdpanzer chilling. We are exposing to the hill quite aggressively. The 1-2 line right now really needs vision. Coming all the way over here. Look, if I was that leopard on the enemy team and I saw that AMX spotted over there killing the DBV, you know what I'd be doing? No! What vision do they have? Two leopards. Okay, fair. But I'd be no, because I know that is the best chance we have. I now have certainty that the AMX with the CVS, which forces stacked bush camo down to 66% from 80%, is not there. is not spotting. So I would take that opportunity. I would go screaming down that flank, and I would spot what I could, and I would make such a dent in the enemy team's force that I don't think they would be able to recover from it. And so we put ourselves in a situation where the only reason that the team is still together and we still have a chance to win is because of the enemy team's lack of agency, is because of the lack of skilled tacticianry from the Leo. And I never like that. I never like to just leave it up to chance if I can avoid it. So I fundamentally disagree with going after the DBV in that situation, as opposed to killing or preventing the egress down the 1-2 line. Because I think you could have killed the DBV very easily after clearing the 1-2 line, going toward the middle of the map and just picking up the funny spot. You don't even have to be spotted to get him out of the battlefield. Okay, so at this point, we can active, dip, duck, dodge, dive, and dodge, right? So I've talked about this before, and it's hard. It's very difficult. It is a high or low skill cap technique, and it's active spotting through a bush line. And this is difficult, but I'll try and explain this as aptly as I can. Stacked camo has a limit in water tanks. If you're behind multiple bushes, the camo doesn't stack infinitely to like 140% or whatever it would be from a 30% bush, then a 40% bush, then 20% bush. It's a max of 80%, regardless of how much foliage you are behind. Foliage camo can only grant you 80% bonus camo. When a CVS is in play, that limit is 66%. And it's why CVS is one bad for the game, but it's why they're so good in situations like this. Because while the enemy team is trying to see through 80% foliage camo, the CVS only has to see through 66%. And so that's why it's a massive advantage when it's CVS to non-CVS vehicles. But in addition, we have to think about tactically, how do we approach spotting in a bush line? And this is specific primarily to light tank to light tank, CVS to CVS, right, is where these principles apply most. It favors the faster tank. Generally speaking, one tank with a CVS versus another tank with a CVS, one tank will spot the other one first, but it will be 5 meters. Right? That will be the difference. Right? You just spotted them. Or it will be proxy. Both tanks will be stealth until they run into each other. The most likely situation when you are going through a bush line to spot something that opposes you in the orange and camo is that you both get spotted. And in that scenario, it favors the tank that is moving faster. It favors the tank that is making the active spot. If you are passive in a light tank and you're passive in a bush, and some light tank lands up on you, you are more likely to die than they are because they have the speed. They can keep going and they can duck, dip, dodge, and dive. You have to accelerate while you're spotted in front of fire. We've all died to that before, right? And these principles are important in endgame play because you've always got to think, okay, what is the value right now of going slowly, right? And right now, I'd argue it's valid. We're trying to outspot a leopard, a bunch of TDs, right? Passive scouting, steady scouting, yeah, probably quite valid. But I do want to impress upon people that if, for example, there was the T100LT still alive, the AMX 13105 still alive, the Tessac still alive, passive scouting would be a bad play. Instead, what you would do in this situation, full health light tank, is you would YOLO. You would go absolutely feckin' ham up this bush line, all the way up until you said, okay, I've cleared that. Then you duck round to the left, because chances are you're both gonna spot each other. You're moving, enemy light tank isn't. Bingo, bango, bongo, right? All hail the wheel? What do you mean, all hail the wheel? There's not a wheel spin, is there? I see nothing. Okay. Oh, hail the wheel because of my lack of eyebrow. Okay, yes. Right. So, let's keep going here. Sorry to pause for so long, but it's an important thing to consider when you should keep going. And it's why, at the start of games, right, if you are playing lights on, a really good example of this is Ghost Town. Ooh, we are all familiar. Good, Leopard forsakes the position. You move up a little further. I like it. Ghost Town is a really good example of this. That bush line all the way down the east side of Ghost Town. It's a long line of bushes, and a lot of light tanks at the start of the game, they start out by passively going up there, slowly working their way up. And it's poor play, it's poor fundamental light tank play, because as we talk about, the likelihood is you're going to be spotted at the same time as you spot an enemy light tank. So you should be going fast. If you are scouting a bush line against an enemy light tank, do it full speed. It doesn't feel right, but fundamentally, 90% of the time, it's going to favor you over what you spot. The CVS is good enough, right? But even if you are going full speed and you spot something that you don't think has spotted you, you can hit, slam on the brakes, and you'll still be safe. That flush may well have lit you. No? Very lucky, okay. Ooh, bit of funny then here. We're still going to be a little worried about where the hole is. At this point, we can start to explore a little bit. Go up towards the hole, try and find out where he is. Okay, let's not worry about the leopard. Let's clear the side here. Want to clear A2. Because we haven't done that yet. Can we clear A2? Okay. Working on it. Good. Beautiful. Okay. Good stuff. Should have done that linearly, but it's alright. Unfortunate. My eyebrow, going back, is not unfortunate, Fanzer. So, where is Dosh Hori? Is he on the hill? I can't remember where the VZ came from, whether he came low or high. 9,000 spotting that we've seen, an impressive performance. If he died there, I would have laughed. But yeah, it's stewarded, it's opportunistic, and it's the opportunity for another lesson as well. And it's the rule of hit points. And I mean, it's not a rule, it's an indication, it's a guide. Generally speaking, if you finish a game on more than a one-shot for the majority of tanks, then you could have got more damage, more XP on that game. It's not always the case. There are outliers. But generally, if you end a tier 7 game on 700 hit points, so you end a tier 10 game on 900 plus hit points, there was an opportunity, if you look back in the game, where you could have got more damage. You could have done more. And I think it's important that I emphasize when I talk about that dynamic that it's hindsight. So you have to be reasonable with yourself when trying to implement that thought process and thinking, oh, I shouldn't end again on full health. When you look back on a game, you can validly say, yes, I could have got more damage. Was it reasonable at the time, based on the information that you had, for you to make a certain play to trade that health? Often not. Right, so it's not always a justification for, oh, I should have played differently, but it's an interesting thing to look back on as a learning exercise and say, okay, where in the progression of this game could I have traded my health for more damage? Where could I have taken more risk justifiably? This is an interesting one because certain maneuvers make me feel like it's a more mediocre game. I mean, this is a lovely game, but certain factors go into me thinking this is sort of 54%, somewhere around there. It's the lack of damage hunger, for one thing. It's the not checking A2 toward the end. What else is making me think it's not? Chat, what do you think? You've seen this game. You got any ideas as to where you think this player lies statistically? I'm thinking it's 53, 54, 58. I mean, light tank gameplay is very, very difficult because light tanks don't play their tank. They play the enemy team. They play everything around them. You don't play your tank, you play your team, you play the enemy team. It's very valid. It could be a very good player who's just played proportionally. But I think a good player would have been more stewarded tactically. Going after the DBV in the corner, it's an entirely irrelevant tank because it dies via consequence of correct play. Right? If you go up 1-2 line and you oppose the Leo, you oppose these things, what can the DBV do? You're sitting there as a DBV player, 70 meters of view range, very good camo, admittedly, but you don't have the ability to go in and outspot these tanks. You'll just die. That is simply a fire support position. And once you've cleared the 1-2 line, you can then dive into the middle and you can kill the DBV from this position while never being spotted. Because as we talked about earlier, if I was that Leo and I saw you get lit, you bet your ass I would have been taking advantage of your absence. Alright, so estimate. 54.62% wins and 1,989 WN8. Come on. Wow, that is very impressive gameplay for a 48% player. That is very, very impressive. Holy heck, that's fantastic play, quite honestly. That is absolutely splendid. Wow, okay. Well, I am way off the mark. 99% voted for... Nah, dude, that's sus. That's feckin' sus. Who looked up his goddamn statistics? No one watches that gameplay and calls 48%. That's bollocks right there. That is absolute bollocks. Someone cheated, I'm telling you. Some motherfucker feckin' cheated. Absolute nonsense, mate. Okay.
What skills are legendary, brutal stuff, like he does a thing and screws it up. But the world of tanks is kindergarten, childish software. Real men play armored warfare, PvE. And his business model is actually insane, making money off of stuff but doesn't have to play a game. Also his leadership skills are dope as fuck. He says YOLO up for